The way they talk about Biden's lies are hilarious, by the way. People have really caught on to this more fully now, and we actually have another Biden mistake. When Trump lied, he was Hitler. When Biden just tells bald-faced lies, it's Biden's relationship with the ongoing fluctuating narrative of his political dynamics. He lied, folks, okay? Yes. He lies all the time. He's a career liar. Okay. Speaking of lies from this White House, sorry, there's so much going on here. The Department of Homeland Security. I want to just take us back a little bit here. We recall months ago there was this point at which there were about 15,000 Haitian, majority Haitian, some Cuban too, migrants all camped out at the border. And there was this photograph that came out. I think it was an AP photographer, some photographer, photograph of mounted Border Patrol agents. And they had split reins, and somebody said that, this looked like they were whipping the migrants. Now, this is what Mayorkas, the head of DHS, said the day this controversy erupted.
An email obtained through a records request reveals that DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas...
Do we have the original statement, guys? Because that's actually what just came out today. Okay. Yeah, we do. Yeah, play that.
The whipping, the whip. So, sir, that is something that horrified us all. And, this morning I was on radio, and the interviewer said that it troubled very profoundly the Black and the African American community. And I said one thing, and this should be clear. Those are not the only communities that it horrified. Those are not the only communities that it concerned. Of course, that concern might be most acute given the history in this country and in other parts of the world. But all of America is horrified to see what those images suggest.
Okay, Clay. So that was the head of DHS. Biden also went on to say it was horrible. That was the word they were using. Yeah. Horrible to see what you saw. People treated like they did. Horses barely running them over and people being strapped, meaning whipped. It's outrageous, the president said. I promise you, those people will pay. There will be consequences. It's an embarrassment, but beyond an embarrassment, it's dangerous. It's wrong. Those were Biden's words. Kamala Harris noted it reminded her of, quote, times of slavery.
Yes.
Okay. The Heritage Foundation had tipped them through a FOIA request, got emails to show that they knew before any of those statements were made, and Mayorkas specifically knew that there was absolutely no whipping of any kind. No one had been whipped. It did not happen. The photographer even said there was no whipping. They went with this narrative anyway. They threw Border Patrol members under the bus. They put them on administrative leave. They could have ruined their careers and their lives because the people who run this White House, Biden, Kamala, Mayorkas, they are cowards and they are liars.
They wanted the story to be true. They wanted, but
it's worse that they knew it wasn't true, though.
Yes.
It's different. Wanting it to be true is different. They knew it wasn't true.
That's a good point. This is also basically the only attention they've paid to the border since they got into the White House.
Well, since Kamala flew over the border to go to Central America to look at root causes.
Lester Holt called her out for lying, which is almost unheard of. But this is the Democrat fallback. I always say, and the same thing was true with Jussie Smollett, the same thing was true with the Duke volleyball player, all these stories. If the best thing that could happen to you is that someone does something racist to you, you need to be very skeptical that it actually happened. And so if the best thing that could happen to the Biden White House, first of all, we don't even need to get into the fact that you're rooting for these things to be racist, right? For there to be a racist act. The demand for racism vastly exceeds its supply in this country. But Democrats are hell-bent on selling the notion that America is a fundamentally racist country. So anytime, think about what Kamala Harris was saying there. This harkened back to the days of slavery. Even if this had happened, is it remotely similar to slavery? You've got someone who is trying to enforce American law to keep illegal immigrants from coming across our border while riding around on a horse, that's really not very similar at all. It's like when Colin Kaepernick tried to say, well, the NFL draft, the combine is like slavery. No. You've got people completely bastardizing history in an effort to try to make America awful today and awful in the past.
This is also part of a broader issue that I have with the Democrats, a massive failure of the Democrat Party. Their willingness to throw Border Patrol is a law enforcement entity. They are enforcing U.S. federal immigration law. I've spent time with Border Patrol in El Paso, in McAllen, on the Tijuana-San Diego crossing. I've done ride-alongs. There's a large percentage of Border Patrol that are veterans, a large percentage of Border Patrol that are Hispanic. People don't realize this, but and when I say large, I'm talking 30 to 40%, of each of those guys. There's a lot of veterans, a lot of Hispanic Americans who are Border Patrol agents, and they do a tough job. They got to worry about cartels. They got to do humanitarian rescues of people who might drown or who might die from heat exhaustion. They got to bring baby formula and medicine to children super fast because they arrive at the border, but they also could get shot at by cartel. I mean, there's a lot of, they got to wrestle people to the ground who are running away from them. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they're handling. The Biden administration, to score the cheapest political points, lied about this and threw Border Patrol under the bus. And just imagine, Clay, you're the guy, and there's a photo, right?
Yeah.
You are that Border Patrol member who's being compared by the vice president to a slave owner. It harkens back to the times of slavery and whipping. The vice president said that about that Border Patrol member. I mean, your life could be not only over professionally, your life could be in jeopardy after something like that. And they did this all. It wasn't a reckless mistake. That's what these emails expose. It was an intentional lie. They knew it wasn't true. They said it anyway.
And they allowed this story to exist for a long time. Because if I remember correctly, Buck, didn't this investigation take over a year to actually reach any conclusion? Yeah. Even though they had emails almost immediately telling them that it wasn't what they had told the public. Think about the complicated factors that creates when your boss at the top of the pyramid of politics is already prejudging what the conclusion of this investigation needs to be, whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Joe Biden. That's the very essence of disallowing the truth to be out. And now that the truth's out, how much coverage? This would be a great study. I always think, if you're a kid right now and you're listening to us, and I'm defining kid broadly, if you're 16 years old, if you're 21-year-old and you're in college, you really want to find a job that would be phenomenal. If you're good at data and analytics, Buck, I would love to know how much coverage this story, that we know Mayorkas was lying and that he had been informed that this was not true, how much will this get compared to the initial story about the border and the whipping and all of that?
This was effectively the White House perpetrating a racial hate crime hoax.
Yes.
This is the White House, the Biden himself, and the vice president and DHS chief Mayorkas doing what we see at, some campus where someone goes, I found a noose on my door. And then 9 times out of 10, guess who put the noose there? I mean, this is what happens.
Or it's not even a noose. It's just like a pull rope.
Or it's a pull rope, right? Or, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But this is a race hoax perpetrated by racial hate crime hoax perpetrated by the Biden White House. And it's really horrible. And they should apologize to Border Patrol.
But you agree with me? Like, what is this going to get? 100th of the coverage that the initial report got?
Oh, of course.
Massive percentages of the American population will never know the truth on this story because the coverage of this story initially will not receive the follow-up to say, oh, by the way, that narrative that we peddled of a racist attack by a Border Patrol agent, it wasn't true. Here's the real story. It will not cut through the noise.